I am in a town called Boone's Mill, Virginia, and I think you can tell why I stopped. Trump Town. There were like dozens of signs for this on the way here. I'm gonna guess these people like Donald Trump. FJB, Faith Over Fear, Rittenhouse is welcome in our house.
The idea that there is a radical left in this country, especially in our political system, is hilarious. Especially when you look at the rest of the world, and we'll get to that in a minute. But first, we really need to think about just how far right the Republican Party has shifted. Just think back 10, 20 years. What were they really focused on? Beyond an illegal war in the Middle East, beyond anti-marriage equality, beyond corporate personhood, beyond taking a big pro-oil stance, beyond denying climate change, beyond attacking healthcare. Okay, yes, they've been extreme for a while, but over the past several years, we've seen an even further shift rightward, embracing conspiracy theories, open calls to violence, turning a blind eye to blatant corruption. And now these attacks on marginalized groups have really upped the ante. And it's horrifying. It's really horrifying to think about because this leads to devastating real-world consequences. The rhetoric espoused by Republican leaders is adopted and embraced by regular people. That leads often to violence. That's very extreme.
And we're not gonna take it anymore. I see a civil war coming. I do. I see civil war coming.
On the left, you have a pretty spineless Democratic Party. It's a miracle that the Inflation Reduction Act got passed. In some people's minds, it is relatively toothless because it does expand drilling capacity before we can even get to any of the climate provisions. And that's good. We should be celebrating, at least in part, climate provisions in this bill because it is a serious existential threat and we need to do something about it. That's really it. What they want to do is take a few progressive people and the rhetoric they espouse, which I agree with, and brand the entire party as such. They want you to think that every single member of the Democratic Party wants democratic socialism. Buddy, I wish.
I am a conservative and this is where I stand. Thank you for your time. I will now be passing this chart off to a Democrat, or as I like to call them, a member of the radical left. Hi, radical left here.
But consider how that rhetoric is described in the media here, and especially by the right wing. It's described as extreme and fringe and radical. And now look at the rest of the world. These things that progressives in Congress are talking about. Medicare for all, an equitable tax structure, protecting marginalized communities from discrimination, reallocating funds that currently go to police departments and investing them in social safety net programs. That's how the rest of the developed world does things. That's all we're asking. That's all we're talking about.
Would you like to understand how the far right sees the world? This essay is in The Far Right and the Environment, and it's by Ruth Wodak. So in her analysis, the far right divides the world in their thinking into two main groups. That division of the world, we have the we. Those are the true people represented by the populace. They are the good, the true, the upright, the victims. They are all these good things. And then on the right side, we've got the others. These are the people who are out there, up there, and down there, the bad, the fake, the liars.
I really enjoy TikToks like these because I'm always interested in, as I'm sure many of you are, in why the right thinks the way they do. Like this TikToker explained, the right's ideology relies heavily on opposing dichotomies. Black versus white, good versus evil, us versus them, hero versus villains. You all get it. But why, when in reality the world exists in shades of gray? Well, in this video, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to explain the reason for why the right needs to rely on the concept of black versus white, why that ideology is dangerous, and how we on the left can navigate discussions when talking to a right-winger. First and foremost, the reason people have core values is because it gives them direction, purpose, and psychological safety. For example, if I'm a person who believes everyone should be free to love who they love, it makes me feel good about myself because I'm open to learning about things that I'm not. But according to the Center for Research on Extremism, individuals who endorse far-right ideology often have an increased desire for obedience to authority, order, purity, familiarity, structure, and a rigid worldview mentality, aka being closed-minded.
And these two divisions are in a good fight, right? The others are a threat. We must fear them. We have a right to defend ourselves. And this is how the far right sees the world in these very stark black and white terms.
What all those things accumulate to is a desire for group-based dominance and subjugation of anything that opposes them, bringing us to the dangers of the good fight. Let's break it down in an example using abortion. On the right, we have the saviors of unborn babies. It's important to note that the people they're protecting don't have voices of their own. Opposing the right, we have people who believe it's a choice, and in the eyes of the right, those are baby killers who need to be stopped at any cost. What their narrative leaves out is that gray area. Was this fetus conceived through rape? Is it the life of the birther in danger? Can they afford to have a child? Can they take maternity leave if they do? Do they even want one, etc.? The gray area doesn't give the right-winger absolute and unambiguous answers. That challenges their motivations and therefore doesn't give them that psychological safety they're looking for. We can apply this scenario to many other problems: climate, gay and trans rights, racial equality, etc. And it becomes even more dangerous when those people flock to places that will give them the boost of psyche safety, like politicians pushing for Christian nationalism.
Republicans need to prove to the American people that we are the party of American nationalism and Christian nationalism. I'm a Christian. I have no problem saying I'm a Christian nationalist.
When right-wingers hold on to an ideology that prevents them from processing opposing ideas, information, and being open-minded, it leads to the dehumanization of those who oppose their beliefs.